Yo, what up, friends? So, a lot of you guys lately have been watching me run Sanctum, clear Sanctum, blast through Sanctum, and play a really cool build. Showcased before you is the Icicle Mine Path Dead Ranger guy that I have been playing. Pretty much been doing all of my Sanctum runs. It is an Icicle Miner Deadeye. It specializes in freezing the entire screen, dealing a metric ton of damage. Its sole purpose in life is to absolutely positively delete Sanctum. It does nothing else. So if you're looking for a guide or a build that can blast Sanctum to the moon and what you see before you looks really appealing, then this is pretty much going to be the video for you. Now, I'd like to keep this video short, sweet, and simple and to the point, as a lot of you guys just really want a POV. You've seen it blast Sanctum. You don't care about anything else. But there are a few key points, like how the heck do I only have one life and I'm not dying? So, today I will walk you through the ins, the outs, what's going on with the character, and give you just pretty much a real quick, brief rundown of how it works. Now, this Sanctum run that you're watching right now, blitzing through it, not paying attention to anything at all that I was doing, the entire Sanctum run took me about 20 minutes. At the end of this video, I'll clip out and showcase the rest of the run if you guys want to watch the run, so feel free to watch and check out the rest of the run there. And if you like these videos and you like this and you want to know more about Sanctum or more about PoE in general, don't forget to leave a like or a comment down below and, turn on notifications for the video, because I plan on producing more content for PoE, as I really like this game and it's been a lot of fun. But let's get into the miner and talk about the build in itself. Now, the characters you see before you looks pretty silly. And the idea of the character is to throw a bunch of mines as fast as possible and then detonate them immediately. The idea is the character can stack up a ton of mines before the boss or any big mob, set everything up, debuff the mob, buff itself, and pretty much just blow up everything. For those wondering, no, you do not need a Mage Blood. No, this is not a Mage Blood build. No. Was this build expensive? I would say you're probably looking at between 50 to 150 divines, depending on when you watch this video and how the market has adjusted. I would not safely give you a number or a theory because I do not know how the market's going to adjust. I was told that some people have gotten in for 50. I've told some people got in for 70. I personally got in around 100, so it's pretty much hit or miss. Now, the gear itself is pretty simple, pretty straightforward and to the point, and the links itself are overall relatively simple. The really big confusing thing for the build, and the first thing that we'll tackle, is the life and why the life pool is so weird. Now, you'll notice while I run around really quick before we get into the gear, if I throw my mines and detonate them, my life pool immediately goes to 0 and is just non-existent. This is because of a jewel that we're using called the Dissolution of Flesh. This says that you remove all your energy shield. Life that would be lost by taking damage is instead reserved until you take no damage for 2 seconds and die. Pretty much that means is your life is just free to do whatever you want. You cannot die as long as you don't get hit for more than 2 seconds. So when I go to 1 life, I can't die from that, as I can sit here and burn through my entire life pool and just never die. The reason why we burn through our life pool the way that we do is because of our shield. But Dissolution of Flesh says that we can't die from taking a hit. The only way that we can really die, and if I just kind of like go to the Desecrated Chambers to show you really quick, is by just taking some damage. We're going to go turn off our auras. Our auras are just offensive, so they really don't do anything. Hopefully there's a mob that can hit us, and you'll see very quickly our life, looking at our life, is getting reserved. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, you're not at 1, like what gives? So you can see I'm bleeding, I'm dying, I'm at 1 life right now, and then we're just gonna go get hit and we just can't die. And that, my friends, is what Dissolution of Flesh does, is it lets us use our life total as another resource to just kind of, burst our damage to the moon. So what you'll see very quickly when I get to my hideout is our life pool ties very well into our shield. Our shield is a Wrath Pith Globe that says sacrifice 10% of your life when you use a skill or trigger a spell. Gain 5% increased critical strike damage for spells per 100 player maximum life, and 5% increased spell damage per 100 player maximum life. Pretty much this means is the more life that I have, thanks to Dissolution of Flesh plus this, the more damage that I will do through the absolute moon. So for this build, the more life, the more damage, the more damage, the more stuff dies immediately. You saw in the Sanctum run, everything pretty much died at the speed of light anyways, so it really didn't matter. And you really, I mean, more life is more damage. So if you want more damage, tattoo your entire thing with life, max life. All life tattoos, all max life. The shield itself, you do not need the +2 socketed aura gems. That's just a shield that I picked up. You can get it and put some auras in here and like swap things around, which is probably what I should do. I should probably take my Stone Golem, Zealotry, and Guardian's Blessing and throw it in here. I really just kind of wasn't thinking. I followed my buddy Will's POB. Shout out to my homie Will. Will was like, POB here. And I was like, cool. Put stuff in socket. Don't think. And it works really well. But the shield itself is really powerful. In our shield, we have our Enhance tied to our Detonate Mines and our Anomalous Bear Trap. Now, it's really weird. We're playing a mine scale, but we have Detonate Mines. What gives? Detonate Mines allows us to detonate our mines faster, as this has a quality on it that gives us increased detonation speed. So if I take out Detonate Mines and I use the regular mine, you can pretty much see the detonation speed and how it works. If I put Detonate Mines back in and I go to the one, you can see it says mines have 44% increased detonation speed. You can actually see the difference in the detonation speed. If I put some auras on, they go, you know, you can see it. It's very noticeable. The higher level the enhanced, the better the detonation speed will be. I tested this with my buddy Gilly. Big shout out to him. What's up, buddy? We did notice the difference between Enhanced 3 and Enhanced 4, as the mines do detonate faster, and detonating mines faster means more damage. So you can get an Enhanced 4 if it's not too out of budget. Currently, at the time of recording right now, these are about 5 divines. So if that's out of budget, you do not need it. Get an Enhanced 3. They are literally next to nothing. Moving on over, our Heat Shiver is uncorrupted. We can corrupt it for a power charge. We can corrupt it for like a whole lot of things. You don't need it. Get a helmet with the Icicle Mine throwing speed. As you can see, if I take the helmet off and I throw my mines, you can pretty much see how fast he's throwing them. And if I put the helmet back on, it's very noticeable. Mine throwing speed on this build is going to be key. The faster you throw your mines, the faster they get out, the faster they go on the floor, the faster you detonate them, the faster everything blows up. So Heat Shiver with mine throwing speed is currently about a divine. We don't care about the rolls. So not too crazy expensive. I bought one with relatively good rolls, and you guys saw it was roughly like 2 divines a minute ago. So I wouldn't go too crazy on the helmet. The helmet is really cool and really interesting. I know a lot of you guys know about Heat Shiver by now, but if you don't know about Heat Shiver, it says you gain 1% of cold damage as extra fire damage per 1% chill effect on enemies. Pretty much when you chill an enemy, they get the little debuff underneath them. That's a number that kind of goes up and up and up and up. And the higher that number goes, the more percent extra cold damage you get. You also get an extra 100% cold damage as extra fire damage against frozen enemies. This means that if we freeze an enemy, we get 100% extra damage on that frozen enemy. We hit so damn hard that everything freezes except bosses, and we just blow everything up. Just blow everything up. In our helmet, we have a Summon Skitterbots, a Divergent Bone Chill, and an Unbound Ailments. Awaken Unbound Ailments is a ton of extra damage. Divergent Bone Chill is giving us increased effect of chill, and pretty much Skitterbots are just running around chilling and shocking everything, just giving us more damage. Also in the helmet, we have a Hatred. Our Hatred is level 21 from global modifiers. Hatred gives us extra physics cold and just more cold damage. Now, moving on over, our armor, I almost called it a shield. Oh my god. Our armor is a Victaro's Influence. This is a relatively expensive double corrupt. If I look at the current version of the double corrupt that I have right now, it is about 14 divines. You do not need to get the exact armor that I have, nor do you need to buy it already double corrupted. There's a couple ways that you can go about this. First off, the armor gives us +1 to socketed aura gems. It also gives us level 30 generosity, which we don't care about. It gives us increased reservation efficiency of socketed gems. Our mines are a socketed gem that take up RMR, so it makes our mines cost a lot less to put on. We also get increased non-effect auras from skills. Pretty much what this says is Icicle Mines gets a +1 from the base of the armor because of the socketed aura gems. Icicle Mines are a spell, projectile, cold aura, AoE. So this armor is giving us +5 because of all the unique tags that are on Icicle Mine. So if you can't find this specific armor for AoE and aura, you can find projectile AoE, aura projectile, projectile +1. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of combinations of this armor that you can get. Another really cool thing about the armor is if you don't want to go out and double corrupt your own, because there's a whole lot of them, or there's a whole lot of variation that can happen with double corrupting, you can actually go on to the trade website, which I'm going to show you right now, and pick up this. This is called the Enthusiast. This is a 3-card set. These cards at the time of recording are about 5C, 10C a piece. Buy 3 cards, get an armor, hope to get what you want. It's not a bad play. This is what I was going to do on day 1 if I had started Icicle Mines, but I last minute pivoted to Spectral Throw, so I didn't need this on day 1 like I was originally planning. But those cards are really cheap. They pop up all the time, and they're relatively easy to get. So you can actually just sit there and pretty much gamble your own armor. Nice. Nice. And like I said, you have plenty of options on the Icicle Mine, so you don't need to go with the exact one that I have. You can even get a +3 armor, and it'll be almost just as good. Our armor is going to have our anomalous Icicle Mines. We use anomalous because we fire 2 additional projectiles. The more projectiles on Icicle Mines, the stronger that it is. We have Divergent Charge Mine Support, Divergent for projectile speed per frenzy charge. Ideally, projectile speed is really good because we're going to be using a Nimbus, so we want the projectiles to fire out, come back, and shotgun as they come back. So having the extra projectile speed is really good because when the projectiles go out, we want them back as quick as possible. We're going to pair that with Anomalous Trap and Mind Damage. Anomalous, you have reduced mana and life costs, and socketed skills have increased mana reservations. We follow it up with Anomalous Inspiration for increased critical strike chance, Swift Assembly for Mind and Drop throwing speed, and Awakened Cold Pen so that we get another plus to damage and just penetrate and do everything that we need to do. Beautiful chest plate with amazing skills in it. As we mentioned our Nimbus, let's talk about Nimbus. With Icicle Mines, we want the projectile of the mine to fly out, hit everything in the room, and come back. So when we use Nimbus and we trigger Icicle Mine, you see it fires all over the screen and it comes back. When I take Nimbus off and I fire Icicle Mine, it just shoots out all over the screen as well, but the projectiles don't come back. Nimbus is giving us the ability to have the mines come back and deal a lot of damage on the return. So if I throw one, it goes out, and then you can see it shoot all around and come back. Nimbus is really good and really, really, really powerful in this build. Unfortunately, Nimbus itself is expensive. I don't have really good rolls on mine, and Nimbus right now is like 17 divines. So Nimbus is weirdly going up. I did indeed put a resistance modifier on my Nimbus to get more lightning resistance. This was solely so that I can like cap out my lightning resistance. Our other ring to pair with the Nimbus was a fractured fire ring that I found on a max life base. I essentially just slammed essences for global crit multi until I hit tier 1 cold damage, and then I locked prefixes, failed chaos orb for life, and then I crafted on non-channeling. If you have questions about how to craft the ring, or you're confused or uncertain and it just scares you, leave a comment down below. The fracture itself on the base of the ring is not very expensive. Oh my god, I lied. They've gone up. Anyways, it doesn't need to be fire. Scout around. It could be any resistance that you need. That's spooky. I was not that much when I bought it. That's spooky. That's spooky. Moving over to our weapon. My weapon is pretty simple. I got a fractured platinum Chris. Before I put my foot in my mouth and have to eat a shoe, I'm going to say that the fracture base itself wasn't expensive. I'm going to pray while recording this video that it's still not very expensive. This is why content creators shouldn't give prices. Things change like immediately. It's ridiculous. This was not this expensive. Anyways. You don't need tier 1 crit multi. Is it cheaper? Yeah, see, it's a lot cheaper. You don't get 38. Just get a lower one. Just get a lower one. I used fossils to put all spell skill gems on the weapon. I did metallic, corroded, shuddering, and etheric in a 4-socket resonator, and I slammed it until it hit +1 all spell skill gems with a spell damage tag. I then was planning on multi-modding it for mind throwing speed and cold damage, but it rolled critical strike chance for spells, so I left it alone. Just like the ring, if you have questions about crafting the scepter or you don't know how to get it and it's too expensive on trade, I highly encourage you guys to craft it yourself. Leave a comment down below and just kind of hit me up and I'll put a little something together. Same thing for the gloves and the boots. If they're too confusing, just ask. My boots though, I did buy. I found these boots relatively cheap on trade. I bought them. They're just triple resistance life boots. I'm so scared to look at the cost of these damn things. Oh, there's 2 divines. All right, it's not even that bad. Yeah, they're not that bad. The action speed roll on the boots is a little hard to get. It took me a little bit. The cooldown recovery rate was just something cool that I hit. The Elder Triplicits kind of like did whatever. Actually, it might not be bad to have brittle. I don't know. Anyways, the boots are simple. Our boots, they have Arcanus brand, faster casting, elemental weakness, and sniper's mark. Pretty much we will cast a brand just like this. The brand will attach to the boss. The boss will then get debuffed with LE weakness and sniper's mark, and that's what gives us a ton of damage. Our gloves are a little bit harder to put together. I did live search a pair of gloves that had the temple mod for increased damage against chilled enemies. I did need strength on the gloves as well, so I live searched the temple mod plus strength and just kind of bought whatever base existed. From there, I just crafted on life. Like, these gloves came as is. Like, that's pretty much where these gloves came off of trade. I needed strength, and I wanted the temple mod. So if I just kind of look up strength plus temple mod on some gloves, a couple of divines, depending on what you want. The unnerve is really good for extra spell damage, as our Icicle Mines does have a spell tag, and the inflict cold exposure on hit is really good because cold exposure just gives us a ton of damage. I mentioned this earlier and I'll mention again, our gloves have the Zealotry, Anomalous Guardian's Blessing, and the Summoned Stone Golem in them. We can put the Zealotry in the shield for socketed aura gems. It's probably not the worst idea, as this is also an aura gem and I should really swap these two around. How this works is I press my button, I summon my stone golem. While my stone golem is chilling and running around, I can press the button for Zealotry. You see up here, my golem's life is ticking down. While my golem's life is ticking down, I have Zealotry aura. When the golem dies, Zealotry aura will go away. I'm using a stone golem because it just keeps itself alive, giving us the aura a lot longer. One thing that's really cool to note is the DPS rotation for this build works as follows. This is where, like, we're playing World of Warcraft. We summon our golem, we activate Zealotry, we drop a brand or 2 or 3, we press all of our flasks, we drop a bear trap, we drop all of our mines, and then we detonate everything, and bosses immediately die. It is a bit of a hassle to set up. It is a bit of a pain in the ass to set up, but once you get the flow of golem, Zealotry, this, flask, mine, boom, it kind of flows and rolls off the fingers. For regular mobs, you don't need to do that. For regular mobs, you hold down left click and just press right click to throw your mines, as everything will die right away. I did fail to mention that we have a level 1 precision. The precision's for our Watcher's Eye. You really don't need more than level 1. We have shield charge and faster attacks. Shield charge so that we can get around the map, and frost blink so that we can also get around the map, so that you can frost blink and shield charge and cover a great distance. As you see, for example, this is the distance that shield charge is going, and then I can just cover more ground. The build itself is really simple. The build itself is really sweet. It just does a lot of damage. It does so much damage and is so well put together that I actually forgot to put a jewel in my Stygian Vice, and I'm literally throwing. Just get a max life jewel, some damage, throw it in this. The belt itself I found on trade. It was like super cheap. I say that about everything in this build, and then I realize everything in this build has gone up. You might have to craft the belt yourself. I don't recommend paying 11 divines for it. But I mean, c'est la vie. The belt is crafted with essences. You craft the belt until you hit the resistances that you need. So I crafted with essence and mind throwing speed until fire and lightning. Like I said, I bought it, but this is how I would do it. So you craft with essences until you hit double resistance, and then when you want to put a suffix or a prefix, you Redeemer Slam and hope to 1 and 4 into cold damage. If you have questions about the belt, leave a comment down below. I'll put a little bit of write-up for you guys if you need it. The flasks themselves are pretty simple. We have an eternal mana flask with the effect is not removed and the reduced cost of skills. When I press this flask, it's what allows me, if I press the flask first, it's what allows me to throw and cast everything. Pretty much it's doing the job of a mage blood. Our diamond flask gives us crit and movement speed. Our quicksilver flask gives us crit and movement speed. you can swap these around. We have an Aziri flask for just more damage and leech, and we have a bottled faith for just giga damage. The bottled faith and the Aziri's flask, like I said, for bosses are the only time that you'll really ever be using them. You really don't need to press your flasks because they're all automated except for these two, and you don't automate these because you only want to use them on bosses. The tree itself is relatively simple. The character, before you look at POB, has 0 resistance, or well, it has resistances, but it has 0 defensive layers, as please do not map or try to boss with it. It does Sanctum. It does Sanctum well. That's all it does. It does Sanctum. Sanctum. Don't try to do anything else. I tried other things. It was miserable, but it's a great Sanctum farmer. The build itself has no tattoos in its current iteration outside of these spell block, because this was my old Tota farmer character. You can put life, max life percent tattoos everywhere and kind of go to town as long as you keep your attribute requirements. I do have a mind throwing speed gem here with crit multi for spells. That's pretty good. I do have a large cluster. This gives me blanketed snow, blast freeze, and widespread destruction. This one shouldn't be expensive. Like everything else in this build that I said shouldn't be expensive. This one's about a divine. Not too bad. We have Guerrilla Tactics Surprise Sabotage for our medium, and then our other medium, same thing, Guerrilla Tactics Surprise Sabotage. This jewel here is a crit multi, spell multi, max life. This jewel is actually expensive. You can just get double crit multi, single crit multi in life, any kind of combination of those 3 in any order. You should, in theory, be okay. I'm just going to price check this out for you guys to kind of give you an idea of where it stands. This jewel's about 3 divines. Not too bad. This jewel is crit multi life resistances. A lot of resistances. I needed resistances and wanted to be res kept. This jewel itself doesn't exist anymore. It wasn't that bad when I found it. I know I've said that about everything else, but you can get a bunch of resistances and crit multi for about 50C without the life roll. Ideally, you can also just like reforge crit on this until you hit resistances, but that's a little bit more of a pain in the butt. Or reforge like a cold or something. I wouldn't do that. I would just try to find the jewel and buy it done. Honestly, just find the jewel and buy it done. Our lethal pride does one thing and one thing only. It gives us pretty much double damage here, max life, double damage, some strength for more life, some strength for more life. Biz is fire, totem placement speed. It's pretty much just used for the double damage nodes and the max life and the strength. There's a lot of combinations of these that you can get. There is a calculator and a tool. POB also does it. This one in its particular, if I do this and look this up, it's 3 divines on trade. The really cool thing about this particular timeless jewel is we don't care about what this modifier is. We only care about the seed number. You can pretty much go command presence or commanded leadership, number any guy. I'll put a trade link to the jewel in the description down below. That way you can kind of go find the jewel and go to town on it. Otherwise, the POB is pretty straightforward. We mentioned earlier that we have a dissolution of flesh. We talked about this is the way that we have 0 life and we're able to do things. And we have a thread of hope. This small thread of hope, I actually can't take out. Please, game. it looks like it's like 40C, 50C, depending on the role. Nobody really uses small threads, so you're pretty much in a good place. The Thread of Hope gives us a second curse. This is how we get elemental weakness and Sniper's Mark. We get damage while holding a shield. We get mine RMR. We get crit multi. We get enemies take more damage. It's a really, really good small Thread of Hope. It's like really, really good and really strong. As far as our Ascendancy goes, we take Deadeye, as Deadeye is the best Ascendancy in the game for a couple of reasons. One, we get to take Focal Point, and Focal Point gives us the ability to have our marks scaled to the moon. That means Sniper's Mark does Sniper's Mark things at an increased effect rate that is pretty much out of control. We're going to take Gathering Winds because Tailwind gives us more speed for the thrower mines and gives us more movement speed, which is really great. We take Ricochet so that our mines bounce off the walls and deal a bunch of damage, as Sanctum is a really tight room, and Icicle mines bouncing off the walls means you kill and hit more targets. And then we take Endless Musicians for more projectiles, as Sniper's Mark, as Icicle mines is a projectile skill. We want to just scale our projectiles to the moon, kind of just like blow everything up. This build in its current iteration is not min-max. You can take it further. There are ways to do that. I have not taken it further. I'm actually going to be exploring other options, as a buddy of mine named Gilly, who I've mentioned a couple times in this video, is playing Exsanguinate Mines, and that seems really cool, so I'm going to be looking into that. I also want to make a Tornado Shot Original Sin Farmer, so I'm pretty much going to be hopping around on builds this league and trying out a bunch of different things, as Sanctum itself opens up a lot of really cool options. But if you like this and you like this video and you want to know more about the builds and everything that I'm doing, you can head on over to the Twitch stream. I'm currently doing group MF with an Ethereal Knives character. That character is a little weird and kind of fun, and we found 5 apothecaries in like a 24-hour span, so that's actually been really cool. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna go farming and stuff. I mean, look at this guy, just bang, 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 with his little white quiver and blue helmet. But that's it for me for now. And then, friends, don't forget, if you want, come over to the Discord, join the stream, come say hi. And for now, I am getting out of here. I'm going to get this video out to you guys. See you all in the next one.